Alright guys, I got a really special guest with us here today on Pure Evil MMA. Chris, the Bearded Dragon O'Brien, who's a 4-0 amateur champ over at Cage Titans. And if Cage Titans is ringing a bell, you might be familiar with Joe Giannetti. You might be familiar with Antoine Capricata. Right, is that his last name? Capricata. So all these South Shore killers coming on Pure Evil MMA, it's only right to have Chris O'Brien join us here, who's 4-0 Cage Titan champion. How you doing today, Chris?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm doing awesome. You know, just spent my morning doing my research on the Bearded Dragon, and I know that you were just getting some fresh cut. That's something I got to keep up for the gram.
Oh, of course, man. You got to keep the beard looking fresh, obviously, you know, especially when your nickname's the Bearded Dragon. So, my boy Pedro hooked it up as usual.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but everyone at the South Shore Gym is named after, you know, a villain. You got Skeletor, you got JoJo, you got the Dark Knight. Is there a Bearded Dragon, like, DC comic, or is this just, you know, how did this name come about? Because everyone else is named after a superhero.
So, the way South Shore works, we don't pick our own nicknames. So, when you first start fighting, you don't get to say, like, hey, this is my nickname, or this is what I'm thinking. Our coach, Bill Mahoney, picks it. So when you first walk into the cage, you don't know what the announcer is going to announce you as. So my first amateur fight, like, I walked in having no idea what they were going to say. And then they obviously said the Bearded Dragon. And so I asked my coach after my first fight, I'm like, hey, man, like, why did you pick that? He's like, I don't know, I thought it was funny. You got a beard. And Bearded Dragons aren't really that, like, intimidating, so I thought it was kind of funny. I'm like, all right, whatever, man. Like, we just kind of ran with it, so it's kind of stuck.
Well, you know what? Now it's definitely intimidating. You're 4-0. You got 4 finishes. Is this something, like, going into these fights? I know that, like, you know, amateur, you're really learning a lot. So it's not like you're, you know, every fight really does mean something, but at the same time, it's mostly a learning experience. So are you going in there looking for these finishes, or they just naturally come to you?
100%. I'm just the kind of person, the kind of fighter I'm becoming. I'm looking to finish, and I attribute that to a couple things. First thing is obviously my team and the guys I train with. You know, you look at those guys like Joe and Manny and Zach and Jimmy Manning and Johnny Cupcakes. They're always going for the finish. So it kind of, you know, with the guys that I train with all the time, it kind of rubbed off, and that's kind of the game that I want to, you know, emulate myself after. But also, I kind of want to be the fighter, whether it's amateur or pro, that fans really want to, you know, get up and get excited for. And, you know, a 5-round or a 3-round war is all well and great, but people want to see finishes. So I go in there with one mindset. I'm either taking your neck or your chin. And I've come true to that 4 points in, you know, 1 knockout, 3 submissions. So I guess that's just kind of my mindset from my teammates, and just kind of the fighter that I wanna become.
You know, and how crazy is it that you're watching all these guys really blossom? Like, we got JoJo on this season, Ultimate Fighter, which is really exciting. We're going to get into that in a second. But you went with them to Vegas, like, what, last week, right?
Yeah, we went out, was it the last week in April? And yeah, we got an opportunity to go out to the Performance Institute out in Vegas. And they asked me, and at first I didn't think I could kind of swing it with my work, but I was just like, I kind of sat on it for a week, and I was like, you know what, how often does an amateur get an opportunity to even walk into that place, let alone train there for a week? So, you know, pulled some strings and, you know, figured some things out, and yeah, went out there for a week, and it was amazing. I mean, I'd be lying to you if I said that it wasn't daunting. Like, you know, even just the crew we went with, every person that was on that trip that went out with us was either a pro or an amateur champ at some point for Cage Titans, and they're all professionals now. So it's like, even just the guys we went with, it was like, geez, man, like, I'm in some crazy company right now. And then all the other people we got to train with out there, like the Shapiro brothers over at Cobra Kai Jiu-Jitsu, 2 top-level black belts, awesome fighters, and then all the other, you know, guys from the UFC that we just happened to, you know, run into over there and cross-train with. So it was definitely intimidating as an amateur going over there, but it was an amazing experience.
You know, who did you got to train with? DC, right?
Oh, no, DC wasn't there.
That's going to be like next week, I think, right? Joe's going to fly back out there or something like that to train with him, he was saying to us.
I'm not sure when he's going back out, but yeah, I'm not sure what he that.
We'll find
yeah,
out soon enough.
yeah, all right. Um, but yeah, no, we just, all the guys you see on a daily basis, like even like Forrest Griffin's kind of like the general manager of the place, and just seeing like he's like my favorite fighter of like all time, like back from like when I started liking the sport. So just seeing him walking around all week, like, hey man, what's going on? Like kind of like starstruck a little bit, like, oh my god, you're like my favorite fighter ever. But like, yeah, no, it was just cool. Like, Joe Benavidez was there, like pretty much the whole week training. So like, we kind of like a couple of our guys got to cross train with him. A bunch of other guys, a lot of names escaping me right now, but it's crazy. It's just like going into your your normal gym, but it's just filled with UFC fighters, and it's just like, wow, dude, I'm really here right now.
See, like the only way I can make like anyone out there really kind of relate to that, because we get a lot of young listeners. We do have fighters that tune in or whatnot, but the best way that somebody can relate to this is picture yourself, in high school, and you're going to look at colleges that you like, and you finally go there and you get like a taste of it. You're like, oh my god, I can't wait to get into college, right?
Exactly, man. That's exactly how it is. Actually, that's a really good way of putting it.
So like it just became like more realistic to you, and I think that's a big thing, and a lot of people struggle with that because this day and age, man, there's so many doubters. You're putting your dreams out there on the line on Instagram, on Twitter, and you have all these people doubting you, and you're really not you don't have to trick yourself into making it reality, but you have to live it. You have to believe it to actually make it your reality.
Oh, definitely. And I think, especially just, myself, I try to put everything, like, out there for people to see. So I'm my own worst critic 100%. Like, I'm super tough on myself every training session, every day. Even to the point where it's like, I didn't think I was going to get a chance to fight. Like, I just didn't think I had it. But I wanted to at least compete at the amateur level so bad that I kind of just broke through those walls. I mean, even at this point right now, 4-0 amateur champ, like, I don't know if I will, like, kind of go down the whole pro path. I'm still kind of weighing options, just kind of taking it one fight at a time. But I definitely hear you on, like, people doubting you. Even at the amateur level, like, guys, like, I have that knockout from my first fight, and everyone's just like, oh, whatever, you got lucky. And then,
What was it, 6-second knockout?
What was that?
The 6-second knockout, right?
Oh, yeah, that one. Yeah, the infamous 6-second knockout. It was, I'm all hype, man. That was all good luck.
It's crazy. They're saying the same thing about Rose Namajunas, and she had to go back in there and prove it again. But man, you got 3 finishes right after that, so you don't have anything to prove to to anybody right now.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. Like I said, I'm taking it one fight at a time, but I definitely hear you on the doubters kind of, detracting from who you are as a fighter. But I'm my own worst critic anyway, so they're not saying anything that I haven't thought myself, and I put myself through every training session.
Here's something else that I feel like a lot of our listeners will be able to connect with you on this level is that you also have a day job as a 911 dispatcher, right?
Yes, sir.
So, I've grown up in a family. My stepfather was a firefighter. My mom is still a nurse at Yale. I even went to EMT school to try it out, see if that's the path I wanted to go on. Ended up going to broadcasting, but really, like, the medical field's been in my life for so long. And the big question, like, I see them come home and they've seen all these horrible things, and, you're taking all these 911 dispatches. Does it almost, like, desensitize fighting to you? Like, it's not as scary to step in the cage? Of course it's scary, but does it kind of make things a little easier for you?
I definitely think so, and it's kind of funny you mentioned this because, like, I've been asked before because, like, I when I walk out, I'm all pumped up, I'm amped, I'm screaming, I'm like hitting myself in the chest, and then and then when I get in the cage, I look very calm and look very relaxed and collected. And people have asked me before, like, how do you come out like a maniac, and then within seconds of walking in the cage, you look like you're walking in the park? And I think it really has to do with my job. It's like you can be sitting there, just talking to the guys on shift, and then all of a sudden the 911 phone rings, and it's a huge emergency, like bad accident or, someone not breathing or something, and then you have to go from 0 to 100 literally on the ring of a phone. And then once that call's over, you go right back to talking sports or whatever. You know what I mean? So it's like for years now, that's been my day-to-day life. Like, so I think my body, like, how you obviously get conditioned for a fight. I've kind of conditioned myself to be able to flip that switch.
The mental
and
switch.
That definitely carries over into fighting 100%.
Yeah, man, you need like it goes back to like that movie Little Giants, or like football's 90% physical and 80% mental, or something crazy like that. And it's true, like it really is.
That's so funny.
Because you know what, man, like you see so many fighters that just crumble, and this is kind of a good segue into a question that is really hot this week, and I wanted to ask you. UFC 224, Raquel Pennington in her corner, where she kind of verbally said to her coaches and her team that she, gave up. She, mentally she gave up. Of course, she's taking all this pain. They sent her back in there. What were your thoughts on, all the drama that unfolded at UFC 224? Did you hear about this first?
Yeah, no, I did.
Okay.
So, I mean, specifically as a fighter, if I turned around to my corner during the fight and said, man, I'm done. I got nothing left. I would expect my corner to say, no, we know you. You got more in the tank. This is what you want. You got to get back out there. It'd be another thing if she was like, no, I'm seriously injured. Like, I cannot continue. So I didn't exactly hear exactly what she said to the corner, but it wasn't like her corner was like holding the door shut, keeping her in the cage. You know what I mean? They were like, no, you're getting back out there. And then she agreed. She could have looked at the ref and said, I'm not fighting again.
Yeah.
And it would have been stopped. So I think like some people are being very critical of her corner, but I would expect the same thing out of my coaches if I was like, man, I'm done. I got nothing left. And I would expect them to be like, no, man, you got more than that. And kind of pump me up to get me back out there.
That's the thing, though, Chris. That's the big thing. It seemed like they were so relaxed when she was like, I'm done. There was no like pep talk in between. Do you think, keeping calm was a good idea, or what would you have done different, or what would you have done if somebody in your corner, a female, I might get shit for that, but that's something that we also have to take into account. What would you do in that situation?
If I was the corner?
If you were in that corner and she whispered that to you, because it is embarrassing. It's not like she wanted to be heard. The cameras picked it up. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, no, I got you. I mean, if I was a corner, like I think it's a lot to say about knowing your fighter, and if I knew that my fighter maybe needed a little bit of push, a little bit of motivation, and going into that fifth round, I would obviously give that to them. But if that wasn't like my fighter at all, maybe I would have thrown in the towel and said she's not going back out. I guess it really depends on knowing your fighter, and I would expect at that level that they know their fighter very well, whether it's male or female. And I think she's even come out after and said she doesn't blame her corner for doing that. Like, that's what she needed. You know what I mean? You're in this championship fight. This is what you work for. Maybe you lost sight of that at the end towards the fifth round, and your corner reminded you of it. I mean, like I said, if I was the corner, if I really knew the fighter like I should at that level, I would do whatever was necessary. If I really thought the fight should be stopped, then we'll stop it. But I don't know. It's a tough question. It really comes down to knowing your fighter, and the fact that she came out and said, she doesn't fault her corner at all doing that. That means they know her and they made the right decision.
If it was a physical thing, if she was in that much pain, you're right. She could have had a verbal tap, at the end of the fourth or, in the beginning of the fifth. But at the same time, also thinking about it, how bad it would look. And you wouldn't be given another title shot if you were known to quit in a championship fight. I mean, here's another thing, though, Chris. Those 5 rounds, people don't realize how hard it is to go 5 rounds.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I can't even, just sparring in the gym and stuff, we go, like 5-minute rounds and stuff, getting ready for fights, but it's another thing when you're in front of thousands of people, and, it's just a different atmosphere. You can go as hard as you want in sparring and training, but it's just not going to mimic a real 5-minute round fight. So yeah, I don't know. You can't fault her for saying like, I got nothing left. It's a tough sport, man. So but at the same time, I don't think I fault her corner either.
All right, moving on. Another question I want to ask you about before we talk about anything about your future or anything. We got CM Punk obviously fighting pretty soon, and I've been an advocate for giving him a second shot. We waited a while, but people are kind of mad that he's on this main card Do you blame the UFC for putting him on the main card? I mean, he's a huge draw.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I just saw a quote from him that, if it was, supposedly if it was up to him, he'd be like the first fight on the
On
UFC
Fight Pass.
And I kind of agree with him. I mean, he's had just the one fight, correct? He's 0-1?
Yeah, I mean, you don't see 0-1 fighters on a main UFC card. Who'd have thought we saw the day two 0-1 fighters on our UFC main card, pay-per-view main card, right? Isn't it a pay-per-view?
Yeah, dude, I can't wrap my head around that. You know what I mean? Like, I understand he's a draw, but it's just like, it's the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Like, why is this on a main card? And, like, I don't fault the guy for following his dreams and stuff and really wanting to prove that he can do this, but I don't know, man. Like, how many guys are grinding undefeated professional fighters and they can't even get, into the UFC, but, CM Punk, because he's got a name, 0-1 on a main card. It's like, I don't know, man. Especially coming from a fighter's perspective, it just kind of sucks to even hear that that's happening. But, I don't blame him. They're giving him an opportunity and he's taking it. So, but yeah, it's definitely weird. Like, two 0-1 guys on a main card.
Well, here's the other thing. Like, if you look at it half full, like the glass half full, if you're on that UFC pay-per-view, if you're on that card, period, and you think about how many fans, new fans, young kids that are CM Punk fans that want to watch him do the real thing, you pull off a good fight, a performance of the night, or you have something that clicks with the audience or a new fan, you're going to get a lot of new eyes on you, and you could be somebody's new favorite fighter if you go in there and you do something special.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I was never like huge into like wrestling, like pro wrestling when I was younger. But like everything I've seen from him, like he's always been like a pretty positive role model as far as that sport's considered. So I mean, like I like the fact of what he's doing, and he's trying to be an inspiration, especially in the sport. Again, I just can't get over the fact that that's actually on a main card. But I mean, if he has a positive impact on especially younger fans. Then how can you be mad about that? I don't fault him at all for taking the opportunity whatsoever.
Well, remember when we were a little bit younger, about when I was in high school, Brock Lesnar, the rumor of him coming over, and then he does come over, and he becomes the UFC champion within like 4 fights. But that's not the case for CM Punk. So my next question for you, Chris, is even if he wins this fight, even if he wins, do you think they'll continue having him in the UFC, or is it just like this is the last thing, and then we're moving on?
I'm not sure. I mean, they gave him another shot after the first fight. If he wins, like, how do you tell him? Yeah, we're not going to have you back. I mean, you're kind of in at that point. You know what I mean? If you're going to give him a fight at 0-1, why aren't you giving him a fight at 1-1?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they would have to keep going with that. I mean, as long as he's a draw, I see him still getting fights.
So let's talk about this season of Ultimate Fighter. You got Jojo Giannetti on. One thing I was so confused about, like, I was following his Snapchat leading up to that point of the Ultimate Fighter, like, him trying out. His name wasn't, like, on the list or anything, so I was really surprised when I heard that, he was on the season. What was your reaction when Joe gave you the news that he made it on the season?
I wasn't surprised in the least. That kid beats me up on a daily basis. But, yeah, no, he's one of the top talents, obviously. Obviously I don't have to say that. But he just proved it out there. He just went in there, kept his head down. He's one of the most humble guys I know, but he's always working. And that kind of goes for all the guys at South Shore. We're always grinding. We're always trying to get better, and we kind of lift each other up. And him in particular, he's been a huge part of each of my amateur fight camps. Someone on that level that's now on the Ultimate Fighter, and he still takes time out of his training camps to really help me with my game. It's just, there really aren't words to describe like how thankful I am, but that just kind of shows you what kind of person and fighter he is and he's becoming. That he really cares about his teammates. He cares about the people that have really helped him get to where he is. But yeah, man, one of the top talents in the area, obviously, and now he's showing it on a national level. So I couldn't be happier for him.
What's this hashtag no new friends though? I keep seeing him tweet out no new friends. What is this?
No, it's just kind of like all of a sudden he's on, The Ultimate Fighter. And people are hitting him up from like middle school. Like,
Yeah.
hey man, remember that one time we talked at lunch? You want to hang out? Like,
Yeah.
no, I don't want to hang out, dude.
That's so funny. That's so funny. It's expected, but at the same time, like you have to love every second of it. Who gets that chance? Take every fan possible, but at the same time, it's funny like sitting back and seeing all these people come out of the woodworks. Like you used to make fun of me in high school. Like Joe was saying, he was a little heavier. Like there were a lot of kids that picked on him in high school. So it's a big fu to a lot of people, which is awesome to see.
Oh, 100%. And, we have a tight little group of friends that we, kind of stay true to each other. So we talk about all this stuff. And I kind of feel a little similar to Joe. Like, in high school I wasn't so much heavier, but like when I was in middle school and stuff I was, and I got picked on similarly to him. Wasn't in a bunch of fights or anything, but it was just kind of like bullying. And, I mean, yeah, dude, I'm so happy for him. Like, the fact that he can sit back and enjoy this ride and, wherever it takes him, because, obviously the show's still going on. But I got faith in my boy. I think he's going to do real well. And, sky's the limit for him. And I try to tell him that, too. Like, just enjoy everything. Like, even the annoying little things, like people hitting you up and, like, wanting to be your friend. Just enjoy everything. Because, it wasn't too long ago that he just turned pro. And now look at what he's doing, a year later. So, really, really happy for him. Really proud of my teammate.
I remember, it wasn't even a year ago. I remember watching Joe on Facebook Live. I think it was Talia Danella's, Mike's wife, recording the Cage Titans fight where he fought a guy on short notice, or the guy filled in for his opponent or whatever. And there's Joe after the end of the first round sitting like Indian style in his corner. Like, he's just so laid back and just chill. Like, I love how it's coming over and people are seeing that. And especially cool to cheer for somebody here on the East Coast, especially the South Shore boys, man. Because out of all you guys, like, I've known, I think, Joe first, but I never had him on the show until recently. You got Mike Danella over there that's been doing big things. And like I said, I love the entire crew over there. How tight are you guys? Because, I even see Talia's Snapchat and stuff, and she's like, Joe will pick me up from the bar at like 3 in the morning. Like, you guys seem real like a family.
Oh, 100%. And I think that kind of plays into the whole no new friends like hashtag too. It's like we're a very tight group.
Yeah.
And we have the gym to thank for that. Like, I know these guys because we all train there. I didn't know Joe before the gym. I didn't know Mike before the gym. And obviously wouldn't know Talia if I didn't know Mike. So, the other guys in that group, like, Joe's roommate, Mike Albert, also a fighter, our buddy Mike De Silva, he was friends with Joe, and I happened to meet him, like, through Cage Titans and stuff. Everyone part of that group. And then also in the gym, like, we all care about each other, kind of like brothers and sisters in there to a certain respect. So yeah, very tight group, and we kind of keep to ourselves, but yeah, so it's cool. It's cool to see, whether it's the amateur level, pro level, national level, local, we're all having some sort of success right now, and it's great to see the gym really getting some recognition now, especially through Manny Bermudez finally fighting in the UFC, and with Joe on the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, that's a big thing. Manny Bermudez, guys, being on the UFC. He was on the spotlight for so long, just waiting for his call, and it's awesome to see him on there now, finally. But before we let you go, man, let me pull this up for people watching the video cast. And unfortunately, if you're not watching the video cast, you can always go follow Chris and check out his pictures and profile on Instagram and Twitter, both at ChrisOB531. But let me pull up this picture that I took. All right, so your mouthpiece, man. I think that's a huge part of your persona as a fighter. A good mouthpiece means a lot. Look at Andrei Arlovsky. People just love him for the wolf teeth. You have a similar thing. You got the name the Bearded Dragon. You got all these finishes. The mouthpiece, man. How did that come about? Is that something that you're gonna keep for a while? Those jagged ass, crazy mole man teeth or whatever.
Yeah, so my first fight, I had a regular black custom mouthpiece. Like I molded it to my teeth and stuff through a company called DC Mouth Guards, Damage Control. And so I'm gonna put them on blast a little bit, but it's all good. My one of my cornermen actually lost my custom mouth guard after the first fight. Was like, I don't know, I put it in my pocket, I don't know where it went. Never seen ever again. So I'm like, oh man, I have to get a new one. So for the second fight, I went back to that same company and was like, you know what, I'm going to do a custom one this time. And I was like, what should I do? Like trying to think of colors and schemes and stuff. And I was like, I got an idea. So I just sent them an email like, hey man, can you guys like draw up like something like dragon teeth? And that's one of the sketches that they had. So they sent me the design. I was like, that's perfect. It almost kind of looks like Venom, like from like Spider-Man. But yeah, dude, I'm like, that's perfect. Dragon teeth, perfect. Throw it on the mouth guard, black. And I got it, and I was like, oh my god, this is perfect. So like, yeah, it's kind of part of the persona, but definitely when I walk out and I throw that mouth guard in, it's game time. I'm the animal in that cage, and you're locked in there with me when that mouth guard goes in. And I know it's kind of silly to some people, like, oh, really, like a mouth guard does that for you, but it just kind of flips that last.
It's a mental thing, yeah. It's a big mental thing, and it's huge to connect with the fans that, can remember you from something, whether it's the mouthpiece, whether it's your walkout song, whether it's your beard, your name, whatever it is. And when you combine all those things, when you have the beard, when you have the name, when you have the mouthpiece, and when you have the people around you that are blossoming, and finally something clicks in your mind, like, wow, I've been dreaming of this, I've been working for this, but it's reachable, it's obtainable. Like, maybe my dreams are small enough to actually achieve. And it really seems like all of that is falling in place for you, Chris. So my last question to you is, when can we expect you back in the cage?
So I'm shooting for August, Cage Titans. I forget the exact date. It might be 16th, 18th. But yeah, they're planning on a Cage Titans in August. So I'm planning on that. I actually broke my hand in my last fight back in January against Chris Snyder. So yeah, I got cleared for contact right before we went out to Vegas. So I'm good. I'm back to training. I'm back to lifting 100%. Sparring and stuff with JoJo and the guys last night. So I'm looking at August to defend my title. And that's what's next for me. That's my focus. I don't know who it's going to be against. I know there's a couple of lightweights that are like 2-0 right now fighting the Cage Titans. So maybe they square off and the winner gets me. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Emerges as the number one contender, and we'll take it from there.
And you say your last fight, you broke your hand, man. January 27th at Cage Titans 37, and you finished the fight. You finished the freaking fight by submission in the second round. Were you in a lot of pain with that broken hand?
No, so the first round happened, went back to the corner, came out the second round. Actually, if you go back and watch the fight, the first overhand I throw, I didn't turn it over all the way. It just the angle we were at, I caught him in the corner of the forehead, and it just snapped my thumb straight through. And as soon as I pulled my hand back, it wasn't like a ton of pain, but I knew something was out of place. And I was just like, oh man, like whatever, I just got to keep it going. And then I didn't think about it again until after the fight. I threw my hand, I think, another 19 times in that second round. Wow. with a broken thumb. So it just kind of shows you, like, I don't know, man, like, you're going to have to do a lot in that cage to stop me. And no one's been able to figure it out yet. I was getting beat up pretty good in that fight, but I always find the finish. I always find some way to come out on top. And then, obviously, like you said, it ended with the triangle in the second round, but yeah, man, good luck to my future opponents because no one's been able to figure it out yet.
Well, we're looking forward to it, and I cannot wait to see what goes on in the rest of the season, Ultimate Fighter with JoJo. No matter what happens, are you going to be in JoJo's next fight in his corner? Are you usually his corner man, or who's usually in your guys' corner? How do you guys split up the coaches or teammates? How does that work? Last question.
No, I'm not in Joe's corner. He knows a lot more about fighting than I do. So okay. I probably wouldn't ever be in his corner. But again, his next fight, wherever it may be, I'll definitely be there 100%. But yeah, as far as cornermen, like, our head coach, Bill Mahoney, he's always in the corner for all of our fighters. And it's crazy, like, we got a lot of amateur and pro fighters coming out of the gym, and he doesn't favor anybody. He's, if your first fight amateur or you're in the UFC fighting for a title, like, he spends all his time for his fighters, and it really is. It's amazing to watch because he cares about them equally. So obviously he's always in the corner. We got Mark Giove, one of our grappling coaches, Justin Burrows, wrestling coach. Was actually Joe Giannetti's wrestling coach in high school too.
Wow.
So I'm not exactly sure who's going to be in his corner for his next fight. I don't know when his next fight will be, but yeah, it's usually the same cast of characters. Our coaches there, but always Bill Mahoney's always in the corner for every fighter.
Well, we're wishing everybody down at South Shore best of skill in all of your next fights. There's just so much fun going on there. I wish there was a TV camera or some cameras going on there. See some a South Shore show or something like that between all you guys, because that would be pretty neat. But guys, make sure you're following Chris, the Bearded Dragon O'Brien, on Twitter and Instagram. Once again, a reminder, it's at ChrisOB531. Chris, thank you so much for joining me here on Pure Evil MMA. We wish you best of luck, best of skill, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
There you go, guys. Pure Evil MMA. I'm Evil Eddie. MyMMAnews.com, where you can find all the latest MMA news. Behave yourselves.